Please stand by. Okay, we're live on YouTube. Mr. Supervisor, the meeting is yours. Let me know if you need anything.
Thank you. Make sure I'm turning my phone off so it doesn't go off while we're chatting here. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the regular board meeting of February 16th, 2021, 7 p.m. This is an electronic meeting. This meeting will be held electronically as authorized under the Open Meetings Act, Public Act 267 of 1976 as amended. Members of the public body and members of the public may participate electronically as indicated via our website and posted throughout the township in various locations. That being said, I would like everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
liberty and
justice for all.
Thank you, board members. Mr. Clerk, you can do roll call, please.
Supervisor Kowal.
I am here and I am at my business office in Waterford, Michigan.
Clerk Noble, I'm at the Township Hall. Treasurer Roman.
I'm here in White Lake, Michigan.
Trustee Ruggles. Trustee Ruggles is not here today. Correct?
I believe he's absent.
Okay,
Correct.
absent. Trustee Smith.
Present, White Lake Township.
Trustee Voorhees.
Present, White Lake Township.
Trustee Powell, you're somewhere warm.
I am here and I'm in Orlando, Florida.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm looking for approval of the agenda as stated. I will make that in the form of a motion. Looking for support.
Support.
I have support from Trustee Smith. Roll call vote, Mr. Clerk.
Supervisor Kowal.
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Treasurer Roman.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees.
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. We're in again our item of public comment. Our public comment is as such is that if you are out there in the public and you have something to say, you'll use the *9. And Rob, I will turn that over to you at this time. You can talk about pretty much anything you want on the agenda if you want to address anything or not. Rob, it's all yours.
Yes, members of the public, if you'd like to address the board, press *9 on your phone to raise your hand. Press *9 to raise your hand, and I will unmute you or ask you to unmute yourself. We'll give it a moment here to see if anyone raises their hand. Again, press *9 to raise your hand. Phone caller 9378, last 4 digits of your phone number. You can press *6 to unmute yourself.
You do have to state your name and address for the record.
Address 1111 Round Lake Road, White Lake. You got my letter. I'm just wondering if you got my email today. I sent a letter about the building, the demolition.
I did not see it, and this is strictly public comment at this point in time. This is regarding the building. You'll have an opportunity to come up when that subject matter comes up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no other members of the public here right now.
That being said, I will make a motion to close public comment at this time. Public comment is now closed. I'm moving on to the consent agenda. Of course, that is a list of revenue expenses, checks, budget amendments, department reports, and things of that such. I'm looking for a motion to move the consent agenda forward.
So moved,
Roman?
Mr.
Whoop. I'm sorry, Mr. Powell?
Yes, please.
Okay. I have Mr. Powell has made a motion, looking for support for Mr. Powell's motion.
Support.
I have support by Mr. Roman. Mr. Noble, roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Colwell,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Consent agenda passes. Item 7, we have multiple meetings that we've had, and I'd like to thank the board for having some 3 special board meetings in a short period of time. We covered a lot of items and a lot of different things. So what I will do, because there are 4 of them, I will pull them up individually since there are numerous. This is to approve the minutes of regular board meeting of January 19th, 2021. That is in the form of a motion. Is there any comment or correction at this time? Mr. Noble?
Supervisor Colwell, I'd just like to introduce Deputy Clerk Santiago, is new to the board. He's spent a lot of time reviewing these. I call it the Powell test. Hopefully, we didn't have any. Mike's very thorough at that, and I just want to welcome aboard, and he's done a terrific job so far. If anybody has any comments or anything, feel free to reach out to him, and I can email you his cell phone number.
Okay. Still looking for an approval for the minutes of the January 19th board meeting.
You made the motion, right? I'll support it.
I will take Mr. Noble's comment as a motion. I will take Mr. Roman's support for the approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of January 19th. Roll call vote, please, Mr. Noble.
Supervisor Noble, or I'm sorry, Supervisor Colwell, sorry. Supervisor.
I know where
Colwell.
I know where you're going in 4 years. Okay.
The Freudian slip there.
Yes.
No, thanks.
Yes.
Supervisor Colwell,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Trustee Powell. Trustee Powell,
Mike, you're muted.
He said yes. I could read his lips. So,
can you hear us,
I'm
Mike?
sorry. Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
item 7B, approval of the minutes of special joint board Ccdc meeting, January 21st, 2021. That is in the
I'll
form of
move
a
those
motion.
approval.
I beg your pardon?
I'll
Mr.
move to approve those.
Okay, Mr. Powell has moved to approve. Looking for support for Mr. Powell.
Andrea will support those.
Andy will support. Mr. Noble, roll call vote.
Supervisor Colwell,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
Very good. Approval of the minutes of the special board meeting of January 25th, 2021. I will make that in the form of a motion. I am looking for support.
Support.
I have support from Mike Roman. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Colwell,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of the minutes of the special board meeting of January 26th, 2021. Looking for a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of special board meeting of January 26th, 2021.
I have a motion. Looking for support.
I'll support.
I have support by Clerk Noble. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Colwell,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
Very good. Motion carries. Item number 8, presentation. At this time, we're going to have John Howland come forward and do a brief presentation on some of the awards that went out to some of our very deserving firefighters. John, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening, board members. Everybody can hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, let me see if I can figure this out. I've done a couple dry runs and let's see. Okay. Bear with me for a second here. So historically, we do award presentations once a year with the fire department. I've never quite done it in this platform where we've taken pictures and presented a PowerPoint presentation. And maybe that's going to be the way of the future. I don't know. I can see that, you know, moving forward, we're gonna have to be a little creative. But we did have some awards. We had several awards for we had individual and some unit citations, and I'm just going to take you through just a brief presentation. Let's see. So first and foremost, I'm sorry, give me 1 second. For some reason, my show didn't start here. Huh. Well, we'll wing through it. So first and foremost, we wanted to recognize Terry Lilly. You know, Terry's put so many years into this community and township. I just didn't want to just all of a sudden Terry to kind of slip through the cracks. So we wanted to thank him from the fire department. And that was just really our way of saying thank you to him. The next thing we gave out was a letter of recognition for outstanding service and commitment. And this went to firefighter paramedic Corey Voss. Corey, when we hired these new recruits, he really kind of stepped forward, took the initiative to really develop a program for our new recruits. It was a way to really kind of gauge their progress. We just didn't want to hire guys and then kind of turn them loose to the shifts and really not see how they're doing, see if they're really going to be a good fit for White Lake Township. Because you guys, you know what? This is a 25-year commitment to this department. And we want to make sure they're going to fit in with us. So he did such a good job. And I'm going to read these, but it said recognition for outstanding work in helping to establish a quality program to train and evaluate the newly hired career recruits with the with the fire department. And it's to Corey. And I apologize. I really kind of built a really cool program. I don't know what's going on here, but it's not running. So we're just going to have to go through it. The next one is a meritorious unit citation to Unit 3. And this is in recognition for exceptional professional actions that occurred on August 31st, 2020, while assisting Waterford Fire Department with a motor vehicle accident that involved technical rescue efforts to remove a tree from a vehicle and reach and freeing a trapped individual. Not sure if you guys remember this incident that occurred when a tree, such a freak accident, just fell on a vehicle when they were traveling down Williams Lake Road. And unfortunately, one of the it was the driver had perished in this tragic event. But our guys, they trained so much in the efforts they put forward. This was unique. I mean, this is something we don't do every day. And they did such a good job. We wanted to recognize them. And we want to and it went to Captain Ted Lilly, Sergeant Kirk Thompson, Sergeant Rick Fisher, firefighter paramedic Mark Page, firefighter EMT Joe Settaseri, and paid on call firefighter Bruce Flores, and our newest member in the career ranks, firefighter Matthew Combs. Also, during that incident, we had a resident that assisted our crews. He was helping them with equipment. He used to be one of our paid on call firefighters, so we wanted to recognize him too. And this is Scott Curtis. And that's our 2020 recipients. And I want to take a moment. Thank you, board members, for letting me put that together and share it with you. I appreciate it.
John, appreciate that. We appreciate every one of us appreciates the hard work and dedication that all of our firefighters and first responders have. We certainly are finding different ways to recognize that. It is definitely being creative this year. So again, thank you. And I thank you for allowing me to be a part of that presentation when it was live. I certainly appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 9. We have 2 public hearings. We have a show cause hearing for dangerous buildings of 1111 Round Lake Road. And we have a public hearing for the community development block grant. Item A, the show cause hearing for dangerous buildings is by request of the building department to follow up, and Sherry Barber as a representative of the building department to follow up on the demolition on 1111 Round Lake Road. The building department wanted to place this back on the show cause hearing for dangerous buildings, simply because there was a number of things going on. The demolition permit pulled by the contractor showed very little work being done up until just recently. But this being done, we've had 4 months to go. And Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong, that permit expires in about 6 weeks?
The permit expires on April 6th.
About 6 weeks. Let's be optimistic and think spring. So there has been some time. I have received a letter from Ms. Toma, and I will acknowledge that letter, but I will also state that I understand that you're trying to say that there was not enough progress. Up until just recently, there was not enough progress. And the weather was really not that big of a condition because we have other concurrent demolition projects going on simultaneously at the same time. While other buildings are being torn down, the contractor, your contractor, for some reason on that site was not showing up or operating. So that being said, the building department would like to have a motion to recommend that the township board modify the order of the dangerous buildings hearing officer to allow the township to begin demolition of the structure after April 7th, 2021, in the event that it is not completely demolished and cleaned up by that point. Is that correct, Sherry?
That is correct. We would just want to have everything prepared in the event that it's not taken down. There's been a lot of police calls out there. Now there's a lot of debris, and we just want to be prepared in the event that it's not done so that we could take care of it.
And I understand that. So we are very serious about having this cleaned up and having a minimal to no mess to the public and the surrounding neighborhood who has had to look at that eyesore for a number of years. Andrea Voorhees, I think I saw your hand up. You're muted.
Question. Oh, no, I'm not muted.
Oh, now you're not, but you were. Okay.
Can I ask a question of Ms. Toma? Is this the appropriate time?
Well, you can, but Sherry might be able to answer it for you. Okay.
No, it was true. I agree Sherry could, but I really wouldn't mind talking to the home.
Well, let's see if she's still out there. She's still out there, Rob?
Rick,
Yes.
the
Yes.
purpose of this hearing is to, hang on. The purpose of this hearing is to actually have a public hearing to give the owner an opportunity to show cause why you shouldn't approve or modify the decision of the hearing officer.
I will open public hearing, but I was letting the board comment back and forth a little bit. Hang on, Andrea, and we'll get
Thank
to
you.
that point. But at this time, what I'll do, if there's no immediate comment from any of the board, Liz Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Maybe we should just, if it's appropriate at this time, and direct me if it's not, maybe we should just give a little update that they have started but have not completed the process.
I will let Sherry do that. Sherry?
Okay, perfect.
Representative of the building department?
After everything was sent out to them last week, some work was started on a few days. About half of the building has been demoed in the back, most of the rubble and debris not removed. And that's where we're at now with it.
Okay.
The permit has been open since October.
Okay, yes, since October. Thank you. Okay, at this time, Mr. Hudson, do you have anything to say as the ordinance officer?
No, I just concurring with Sherry. It seems that we only get the work going once we have contact with Mr. Brown, who is Ms. Toma's contractor. And to be fair, Ms. Toma has put up with a lot from Mr. Brown. So I don't want her to think that this is a knock on her, but we have to protect ourselves and make that building safe.
Okay, very good. Without any further comment from the board at this moment, I will go ahead and I will make a motion to open the public hearing for modification of the dangerous building hearing officer for the structure on 1111 Round Lake Road. With that, I'm making a motion to open, looking for support.
Support.
I have support from Mr. Roman. Roll call vote, Mr. Noble.
Supervisor Kowal. Supervisor
Yes.
Kowal.
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
yes,
Trustee Powell,
yes,
Okay, very good. We are now in public comment. At this point in time, if there's anyone that has any commentary from the public at large on 1111 Round Lake Road as to why it should not be put on the seek a modification of the dangerous buildings hearing officer's order, you may speak at this time. I have a hand up. I'm
Yes.
presuming that's Mrs. Toma.
Yep. Again, press star 6 to unmute yourself and go ahead to address the board.
Hi, this is Donna Toma Nawal's daughter. We don't feel like this should be on the, whatever you guys are trying to do to get bids to get the demolition done. This is all gonna get done by April 6th. The permit expires April 6th. You guys just like you said, my mom has been going through a lot both ways. Like, it does feel like you guys are attacking her. It does feel that way, to be honest. And it's not fair. Everything will get done by April 6th. The permit does not expire until April 6th. If the guy does not get the stuff done, if he doesn't get it done, then we will get, we already have backup on demolition people. There's no reason to go and get bids done. If this guy doesn't get it done by April 6th, it will get taken care of. And we have backup already. Like, if Mr. Brown doesn't complete the job by April 6th, but I believe that he will.
Thank you very much. Anyone else out there with comment from the public? Seeing no other public comment, I will close public comment at this time. I will make a motion to close public comment. Looking for support.
I'll support.
I have support from Clerk Anthony Noble. Mr. Noble, roll call vote.
Supervisor Kowal,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
yes.
Trustee Powell.
yes.
Very good. Public comment is now closed. I will take a moment and I will read Ms. Toma's letter here to the board, just so that we have it of record. To whom it may concern, I understand that you would like to start getting bids on demolishing the property at 1111 Round Lake. I feel it is unnecessary. This building will be down by April 6th. Township believes there has not been enough progress. However, there has been. As of today, February 16th, the apartments in the back have been torn down. The back of the entire building is down. Due to COVID and Michigan's extreme weather conditions, this task has taken longer than expected. However, my contractor reassured me that the building will be completely down by the time the permit expires 4/6/21. Sincerely, Nawa Toma.
Rick, can I make a couple comments regarding this?
Certainly.
First of all, I just want to make sure everybody aware that we've been dealing with this since 2016. And some of our other regular contractors in the township who we've used before have stated that they could have had the building down in about 2 weeks. So I just wanted to, I did some backup research there as well.
Thank you. Again, this is not an imminent order that if your contractor performs and does what he is supposed to do, then there are no concerns here. It's that simple. This is merely an reassurance for the township that this order is actually carried out. And I know that my building official, my code official, and Sherry, our administrative person in the building department, have spent a lot of time trying to move this along and have had one delay after another and then some. So this is just to make sure that your contractor performs actually for your protection, so that he knows that he is under the gun to perform, to have this done. And the township is also, believe it or not, looking out for your benefit. Ms. Hamami?
I'd just like to state for the record that while the building department did not make a formal oral presentation today regarding the history and the motion that they are recommending, there is a comprehensive memo that was in the board packets and available on the website that did a very good job with a timeline, including the order of the hearing officer that you are considering today. So I just wanted that stated for the record that you have all of this in front of you, although it wasn't repeated today verbally.
Thank you. It's rather lengthy and I wasn't going to be like reading a Bible here. So in all, essentially what my understanding of what the building department is looking for, they're looking for a motion to recommend that the township board modify the order of the dangerous buildings hearing officer to allow the township to begin demolition of the structure after April 7th to seek bids for such work. And I believe Sherry, Mr. Roman?
I just wanted to make a quick comment. That building's been unsightly. It's been a danger to the community. It's been a danger to our residents. Mr. Toma, to put this off until the last second, that's insulting to all 30,000 of our residents in White Lake. And I think that's terrible. If you need a motion, Rick, I'll make it.
I haven't had a chance to talk.
Oh, yes, Andrea, please go ahead.
I asked this question about 2 years ago, when you were in front of us, when we were face to face. I'm gonna preface it by saying this is a yes or no question. Would this be allowed in your community that you guys live in? Having this problem in your community, would that be allowed?
I don't think she can respond at this time. I don't think she's on the line.
Is she there? Ms. Toma?
If you press *6, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, Mrs. Voorhees. What does that have to do with what's going on right now? Like,
because we've been dealing with this for about 2 years. And would you want that in your community? Would you want that in your neighborhood?
So,
can you preface that with a yes or no question or answer? I'm sorry.
In the beginning, the store was gonna, the building was gonna be sold, and then things change. Things change in life. Like,
absolutely,
it's not there. Like, it's not like we want it there. We want this building down too, of course. It seems like, and even Mr. Roman, you seem like we want it to be there. We love the community. My mom we've been in the community for years now. It's amazing. Like, it just feels like we're being attacked. Even when we were building the well, this is off subject. When we had the store and you had us build the well, you had us move it 3 times. It feels personal. It feels like we're being personally attacked, to be honest with you. You know what? The building will be down by April 6th. There's not going to be a need for any of the township to be involved in it on April 7th. So that's fine. If you need to make this motion, the building will be gone by April 6th. Whatever you need to do, we will comply with you, just like we always have. Things happen in life that we can't control sometimes. And, this is one of those things right now, and it will get handled. And I'm sorry that it's taking so long. We don't want this either. We want the building down.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Toma.
That would be my new ride home from work. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I just want to let my board know that I drove by it myself today to look at it with my own eyes. There has been some progress, but it's not as far as we had hoped. But I just want to let the owner know this is not a personal attack in any way, shape, or form. This board has been very patient. And if we move forward here, this doesn't prohibit you in any way for your contractor to do the job. And if they do, then basically our action tonight becomes moot. So this is just a safeguard. If it doesn't happen, then we're able to move forward. So in no way is it an attack. I just want to clarify that. But I just wanted to let my board know that I saw it today, and the back is partially down. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you, Trustee Smith. Any other comment from the board before we move on? Mr. Powell?
Yes, Rick, and the neighbors have been more than patient here. And so even though the owner understands that, we understand the owner has been underneath a great deal of pressure, the residents in the area have lived with this far too long. And we should actually put a motion together that's even earlier than April 6th because if we wait till April 6th to obtain the bids, it'll be another 2 months before it's down, because we then have to approve it. And so we should make it early enough for the building department to have the bids, so that our next meeting or a special meeting, we can hire that new low bidder.
Excuse me,
Actually,
Mike.
go ahead, Sherry. Go ahead, Sherry.
That's why we're before you now, because then I can go out for bid. I can have the bids in hand and we'll be ready at that point in time.
That's part of this motion, Mike. So
Okay, thank you.
that's all right. You got a lot of wind in the background there, Mike. I can hear
Yeah,
it.
I'm turning my mics off.
No, I know
so,
you
yeah.
can't help it, and that's understandable. I get it. Mr. Roman.
Yeah, the only problem I see with going out to bid is come April 6th, we don't know what's going to be left to do.
I think
know
I think we have a good enough relationship with a couple demo contractors in the township that we've used on other projects that I can explain to them that this is our intention. The work may or may not go through, and they've been very good to work with. And I think they would still provide that to us.
Yeah, I feel very comfortable with the contractors that have performed work throughout the township and their understanding of the circumstances.
And
So I
Mr.
don't-
Supervisor,
Yes, Mr.
just
Powell.
very quickly, this actually gives the owner the ability to say, listen, if you don't get it done by now, by this time, somebody else is going to do it, and I'm going to subtract their price from the amount that I agreed to pay you. So it really puts pressure on that current contractor.
That, and actually, in a sense, does protect her, believe it or not. So, okay, very good. I am Mr. Roman.
I'd like to make a motion, Rick,
Yes, sir.
to modify the order of the dangerous buildings hearing officer to allow the township to begin demolition of the structure after April 7th, 2021, and to go out to bid now.
Okay, I have a motion.
I'll
Looking for-
second that motion.
We have motion, we have second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Colwell,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you very much, board members. Okay, next item is what we do every, yes. Whoop.
Rick, I'm sorry. Sherry, do you need, I mean, you're not gonna go out to like sealed bids under the procurement policy, right? You're not looking for them to, you're going to just get bids from multiple sources. That's all you're gonna do, right?
That's
Right.
And that's all the intention of the board was. I
That's
just
the
wanted,
intention of the board.
the motion was to go out for bids, so I just wanted that clarification.
Yeah, it's just that. We anticipate this to be a rather different situation due to the circumstances around it, and maybe totally a moot point. So
Okay,
like
thank
Trustee Smith said. Okay, thank you, Counselor. Moving
Hey,
along.
hey, Rick.
Yes,
Rick,
Mr.
Rob,
Roman.
just
Yes.
FYI, there's still a hand up. I don't know if that needs to be looked at or not.
We're closed on that public comment and we are done. Moving on, okay? We have before us, as we have every year, our Cbdg Development Block Grant hearing. And this public hearing is open to the public to have a comment on it. And I've been reminded again that during the public hearing, that there is to be no comment from any of the board members. It's strictly public hearing. So we have to make sure our recorder has that information as such and that we move on in that manner. So at this time, I would make a motion to open the public hearing for the PY 2021 Community Development Block Grant Program.
Support.
I have motion and support. Roll call vote. Mr. Noble.
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Supervisor Colwell,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees.
Yes.
Motion carries. We are now in public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant. It's a program that will allow monies to be spent on projects that have been programmed into our block grant program for supporting different things. At this point in time, if there's anyone from the public that has anything they want to say, raise your hand. Rob?
There are no resident phone callers in the meeting right now.
That being said, I will make a motion to close the public hearing. There's no comment from the public or anyone present at this time. So my motion to close the public hearing, looking for support.
I'll support.
I have support from Clerk Noble. Roll call vote, please.
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal,
Yes,
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
very good. Okay. Moving on to resolutions. Resolution number 21006 to approve the PY fiscal year 2021 Community Development Block Grant application. As you know, Trish Pergament, my executive, does a really great job with this and really stretches the dollars out. The deadline for the White Lake Township to submit this for 2020 is March 5th, which is why it's at this meeting. The township recommendation will be for the following programs to be included in its application: minor home repairs, senior services, which is Meals on Wheels, domestic violence, which is Haven, and youth services, which is Huron Valley Youth Services. So these are programs that we're going to be putting forward, and we should be in good shape. We should be able to be able to serve as a HUD entitlement county. Oakland County receives the funds on a formula-based process to meet the national objectives of the 4 federal grants, one of which is a community development block grant, which is where the funds are going to hear. We heard the public input for the 21 application. The overall goal of the Cdbg funds is to strengthen neighborhoods by supporting local revitalization projects, home improvement, and public services for senior citizens, low-income persons and families, disadvantaged youth, and disabled residents. So the programs that we have, as I mentioned, were home repair, senior services, domestic violence, and youth services. Any comment from the board or anything the board would like to say this time? Any members? Okay, I certainly appreciate every year the efforts that go forward to this. With that being said, we already had the public hearing. We opened and closed it, and we are now in the midst of approving this resolution. I would like to seek a motion from the board.
Mr. Supervisor, I move that we approve the CDGB funds and program as presented tonight.
Resolution 21-006.
Yes, thank you.
We have motion looking for support.
Or
I have support from Trustee Smith. Mr. Noble, roll call vote.
Trustee Smith,
yes.
Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Good. Okay, motion carries. The next item that we have on our list will be 11A, request to approve the Oakland County Cost Participation Tri-Party Agreement, which is our 2021 gravel road program. This is something that we do every year, and it's that time of year again already, 6 weeks till spring, or more or less. So any questions from the board?
Much needed thing for people
Yep.
that drive back roads and live off dirt roads.
Well, 70 to 80% of our roads are still gravel in
Yep.
White Lake Township, so we need it. Mr. Roman?
I'd like to make a motion to approve $59,326 to be used for the tri-party agreement to come from the general fund. And the motion also to approve the agreement and allow the township supervisor to sign it.
I have a motion looking for support.
Andrew supports.
I support for the 2021 gravel road program, known as the tri-party program. Roll call vote, Mr. Clerk?
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Very good. Okay. One of the items of the groups that we support which we have been through this a couple times already, and we had some conversation regarding this the other day about how we found that this is actually something that works for the township, because it most definitely helps some of our youth that have some difficulties and challenges, and that we have been requested from the Huron Valley Youth Assistance for $8,712 in sponsorship funds for its 2021 fiscal year. It's the caseload that about 44% of the families served were in the White Lake Township, and 44% of the projected cost as such is $8,712. So these funds will definitely go a long way, and seeing as that this is definitely a preemptive program that is approved by our courts, and I know that our police chief, Dan Keller, is in support of it, as well as Mr. Noble being a former police officer. We had some conversation about this program and how it can help kind of straighten out some of our youth that need that little extra attention. Seeing as that this is more or less contractual services, we are getting services provided to the township. I would like to make a motion that we approve the $8,712 to be spent and invested in our youth and our community to provide those funds as requested by Huron Valley Youth Assistance for this year's contribution. That is in the form of a motion. Looking for support. That was all scrambled up, but you know what my intent was. We have motion, we have support. Roll call vote, Mr. Noble.
Roll call. Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Powell.
Yes.
Treasurer Roman.
Definitely a yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees.
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal.
Yes. Thank you very much. Next item is old business, second reading of Amendment 21-10 to zoning ordinance 58. Mr. O'Neill, are you there still with us?
Yes, I am, Mr. Kowal. Hello, Township Board. Thank you. This is the second reading of, I guess I'll call it Ordinance Amendment 21-10. That's the sequence of these ordinance amendments. And we had first reading last month on January 19th after the Planning Commission held a public hearing on these amendments, these proposed amendments. We had a little bit of discussion last month. If there are any questions, I would be happy to attempt to answer them. Otherwise, I would respectfully request adoption after any discussion. I'd respectfully request that you adopt this round of amendments.
Must be something in the air tonight, Sean.
I don't know. I have a lot of caffeine here in this cup, so I don't know.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? And Sean, I personally want to thank you and your staff for constantly staying on top of this ever moving and changing target, and dealing with the township attorney to make all this stuff come together and battle those bumps and humps and things of the sort. She's smiling, and trying to keep the township in conformity with these different amendments. I certainly appreciate your efforts.
I appreciate it. And I'd like to thank the Planning Commission for all their work. And I think I've talked to each and every one of you at some point in time or another as we move through these amendments on something that you had a question about or a concern about. So I thank you all for your involvement and interest in these. It just makes the whole process work better. So thanks to all of you as well.
Very good. Mr. Roman?
Yeah, I just want to share with the board, you know, my family has had numerous dangerous incidents on the dirt roads in this township with people speeding. It's craziness. And I just can't wait to see, you know, White Lake Township put some speed limits in place to slow down the drivers on those dirt roads. And Sean, this amendment will help with that, correct?
I don't know that this amendment will deal with speed limits at this point. But, you know, hopefully as the developments move ahead, we'll have more miles of gravel road that end up becoming paved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Certainly.
Wrong ordinance.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has the highlight of this one would have a lot to do with marijuana. That would be one of the key things in it.
Yeah, it would be. And it would be to kind of protect the existing neighbors and residents and neighborhoods from someone turning a home, just a shell into a grow operation. And, that's not in anyone's best interest and can, send a neighborhood in a kind of a downward spiral with property values in a real hurry. So we want to regulate that. So if it is done properly and that, it doesn't become a nuisance type situation.
Thank you.
Wrong ordinance. Sorry,
That's all right.
Sean.
That's all right. I don't think anyone disagrees with you though, Mike.
No, we certainly don't. And that's something we can talk about. The other thing that we sent off to Lansing. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay, that being said, I'm looking for a motion to move to adoption. Mr. Powell?
I think he's muted.
I don't have that motion in front of me, Rick, so I apologize.
I will, on your behalf, say it's to adopt the amendments to zoning ordinance number 58.
So moved. Yes, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion for Mr. Powell, support from Anthony,
Support.
from Clerk Noble. Roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote. Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Powell,
Absolutely, yes.
Supervisor Kowal,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Clerk Noble. Yes. Treasurer Roman.
Yes.
Had to think about that one for a minute, did you?
I think it's delayed on here because you guys are being I hear things after I see your mouth
I
moving.
know, it's a little strange. I've noticed it. That's it's a little odd. Item number 12B, it comes before us again. This has actually been before us a couple of times, but things things are perking up in that end of the township down there. So what I'd like to do is turn it back over to Mr. O'Neill.
Thank you. You may actually recall recently seeing a similar request, almost the exact same request for West Valley, which is its sister development, actually the same exact number of units, 69 units, also apartments, similar configuration as far as the kind of units. Tonight, Mr. Jason Emerine with Cbdg, who is a project engineer, is on the meeting call as well. The letter that you have in front of you probably deleted West Valley and typed in Lake Point and changed some dates because it's basically the same request. The department supports this request. Back in January, the preliminary site plan expired for Lake Point. And let me get you the date here. That would have been January 21st. So similar to West Valley, they are seeking and we are supporting the request to give a 1-year extension. So if granted by the township board, a preliminary site plan would then expire on January 21st of 2022. They've submitted for final site plan. So they are moving ahead. I think kind of with everything that happened in the last year, they were trying to kind of coordinate these two projects. Lake Point is one that they kind of started from the very beginning. The West Valley project was one they bought from another developer who had taken it halfway through the process. So they're trying to I'll just say maybe synchronize some of the engineering for lack of a maybe better term, because one is sort of dependent on the other. So there was kind of a lot of work. They had to go backwards before they could move ahead. And that's what Jason's been working on for the last several months. So it is just a simple 1-year extension per the memorandum you have from our office. And if you have any questions for me on this or Jason, we'd be happy to answer them for you.
Yeah, that is the plan that obviously we have seen last year and just a revision of the one before that. So this is, there's nothing appears to be anything different over there other than the fact that potentially there'll be some of the water will be able to be discharged through under the road to the other parcel, which makes better use of the land because none of us like those basins anyways. They're not very pleasant to look at nor maintain. Any questions or comments from the board?
I can share my screen if you'd like to look at it, if you feel that's necessary, but you did key on one big difference. Now that they own West Valley and have control over a stormwater outlet, they have significantly reduced the size of the basin. So instead of all these units kind of coming up against a huge moon crater, I'll call it, there's actually some usable common area with sidewalks and other, features or amenities.
Why don't you pull it up real quick, Sean? Yeah.
Sean, I will add into the by linking these two together, we actually are able to provide road drainage to Union Lake Road on the northeast side of Union Lake Road that normally wouldn't be there. So it's kind of like an added benefit in addition to the smaller basin size.
Right, the basin, if you can see my screen, is really
Significantly smaller.
down here. It was previously in the center, so they were able to kind of reconfigure some of this. This isn't too dissimilar from the Redwood plan. It's a similar type of layout, similar type of unit. This one does provide a clubhouse with a pool here, as you can kind of see near the entrance. So, there really has been for some time now quite a bit of demand for this product, and this is the third project that's just like this, with Redwood being kind of the first. So, and then West Valley across the street being the second. So there is a very, I'm going to say, surprising demand. I knew there was quite a demand for, maybe empty nester product, but the rental demand is pretty high, and the kind of price point that they're commanding is, I don't know, maybe shocking. I mean, you could really, these are what, Jason, I don't know if you have some of the.
I only remember what I remember from the original site plan approval way back when, and I think he said it was about 2,000 per month per unit. They are nice high-end finishes. This is a high-quality product, and I will say the applicant Mike Finari with JMF White Lake LLC does not like it when people refer to it as a Redwood type product. He likes to say it's a lot more upscale, high-end finishes.
He has said that, and I remind him that the first project like this was a Redwood project that the township's very proud of. So
yeah,
there's no shame in comparing them to Redwood, because
I think he just wants to emphasize the fact that he has high-end finishes, which demand the higher rent.
I just want to make sure that you remember that this township board supported and approved that Redwood project.
No, I recall. No, they do a great, I work for them as well. They do a great product as well. It's just a different product. That's all.
Right.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. O'Neill.
Mr. Supervisor?
Yes, Mr. Powell.
I have 3 comments that I'd kind of like to make. First of all, if Mr. O'Neill could tell us what the density of this development is total and then per acre, because it is an extremely dense development. And then if he could also tell us what the public benefit is being proposed in order to have us approve this kind of density. That's 1 and 2. The other question I had was the amount of landscaping between the back of this development and Union Lake Road. Boy, we're gonna drive down Union Lake Road. We're gonna just see a wall of condominiums there. And I was hoping for a bigger setback from Union Lake Road. And then I noticed that Mr. Potter is on in the meeting as well. They are proposing a sanitary sewer system within this development, around the ring road of this development. And it may not be possible due to the distance between the units, but it'd be extremely beneficial to the development to the south, Bocavina, if somehow there could be a stub extending out between 2 units to Carpathian Drive, instead of having Bocavina extend a sewer all the way up Carpathian Drive from Union Lake Road. It would just really benefit the neighbor to the south, who is going to feel the majority of the impact of this development, not only in the distance off of Carpathian, but then also the additional traffic that's going to come from this development. So I apologize for springing this on Aaron and Sean, but maybe they could present that to us.
Yeah, Mr. Powell, like I said, I really wasn't expecting that, so I'm not prepared to comment on that at this time. I think that the developer on this one, especially on the West Valley project, which is the sister project to this, as Sean said, has some very extensive utility improvements that need to be made as part of this. They are in this Lake Point development already extending sewer not only through their project, but across their frontage on Union Lake Road. And I don't want to speak for the developer, but I haven't looked at any of the grades over there in Boca Vina and how they relate to this project. But as you can see, it's fairly dense. And so I guess I'd ask Jason to comment on that.
I will add on, the sanitary sewer that goes across the frontage was originally called for to be at a depth of 25 feet. Aaron's probably the only one that knows this, but the existing sewer in front of Independence Village is very, very deep, 25 feet. And originally it was specified or requested to have us put that sanitary sewer across the frontage at minimum slope in order to service future extensions down Union Lake Road. Well, working with Mr. Potter and the community engineer, DLZ, we found out that Boca Vina is at the far upstream end of that sanitary sewer district. And the grades on Carpathian Drive, I'm sure everyone knows Carpathian, you drive up Carpathian, it goes up a huge hill. There's plenty of depth on that frontage sewer, if you will. So the stub that's provided at the property line against Carpathian Road is at a depth of, I forget the exact number, 12 feet deep or something like that. That was a depth agreed upon between Aaron Potter and DLZ, and that is the future stub for the end of the sanitary sewer district for the Boca Vina subdivision.
Does that answer your question, Mike?
Lost
By
there, Mike.
ordinance. Can you hear me again?
Yep, hear you now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's required to be done by ordinance. So that's not a public benefit, but as long as you, Aaron, and DLZ agree that that's sufficient to pick up the basements in Boca Vina, I'm good with that. I was just hoping that during the detailed engineering, there might be some consideration of leaving the stub off to the south, up higher on the hill, instead of Boca Vina having to carry it all the way up the hill to service Boca Vina. So my other questions were for Sean. So thank you.
I've been doing some feverish math over here. I will say, as far as the density, I don't have those numbers in front of me, Mike, but I can tell you that based on the gross acreage, which is not how we calculate it, but it's very easy to calculate, it's at 5.18 units per acre. I believe by comparison, Redwood would be about 3.8 units gross. However, I think netting that out, and you may know better than I would, you were over 7 units an acre, because I think about 19 or 20 acres of the Redwood property was actually usable, and they have 143 units. So I'm going to say it's probably pretty similar. I don't know if Jason has in his calculations the net number. It's surely north of 5.18, but
I do. The gross site acreage is 13.32. The net site acreage is 12.76. With 69 units, that yields a net density of 5.41 units per acre. And that's what was approved on the site plan. I don't know the date, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
so it is similar. I think what's deceiving in this one is, triangular shaped parcels are about the most difficult to develop. You lose a lot in the corner, and it makes it look more crowded because there's just a lot of wasted space kind of in some of these corners. So I don't think it looks maybe a little bit more crowded than it may truly be, though it's definitely a higher density site. And with the PD, that was part of the process. The community benefit question that you asked about, Mr. Powell, I know they're proposing a sidewalk that is off-site, and Jason, I'll ask you probably to give me the dimension of that. And let me try to share my screen. I want to say it's less than 100 feet, but let me bring the sidewalk up and I can show you where it's at. So they're proposing an off-site sidewalk that's, I don't know how big that is. Jason, is that 80 feet, 90 feet?
I don't have a scale drawing open, but yeah, that's probably pretty close.
So
probably
they're proposing, okay, Independence Village does not have a sidewalk. They're proposing a sidewalk to Independence Village. And they are also proposing to provide the neighborhood next door with $15,000 for traffic control, which I think will be some speed bumps and signage. They have a private road and have the ability to install speed bumps. And when this project was first approved by the Planning Commission and Board, the HOA was, Mr. Fernari went out and met with the HOA, and they were working with him to try to come up with some pricing and some plans. And we actually saw some preliminary plans that the fire marshal looked at, as well as our engineer, just to make sure we didn't have any issue with emergency vehicle access. So that was something else that they considered to be a public benefit.
I'll also add on, Sean, a public benefit that is this developer has the unique ability, because he owns West Valley, he can not only provide a stormwater outlet, but currently on the northeast side of Union Lake Road, there is no drainage on the side of that road. Right now it puddles up, it becomes a hazard. Because this developer owns West Valley, he has the ability to add in catch basins and swales and provide an outlet for the northeast side of Union Lake Road.
Yeah, I would agree with that to some extent. And, I would also, and I think that goes along with you being able to provide probably a better end product on this property as a result of the investment made across the street as well. And I know there was some re-engineering necessary of the project across the street to make this, I think, same number of units still work, but just work more, I guess, functionally. I mean, we always prefer to have an outlet. Mr. Powell, you had asked about kind of the scale, or I should say the setbacks from the road. And it's true, they are not very far from the road. You can see the sidewalk here. I mean, you're probably, and Jason, you'll probably have that setback off the top of your head.
It's 40 foot, and our buildings are, I can't see where the buildings, yeah, and the buildings are even set back further than that. I'm assuming this 40 foot must be from the statutory right-of-way line, so it's pretty close. But I don't have a dimension on here, unfortunately. But that was actually something that was brought about during the original approval, was the buildings used to be closer to Union Lake Road. And during the original PD, they were asked to be shifted further away from Union Lake Road and provide a 4 foot tall berm between the units and Union Lake Road with heavy dense landscaping, which is on the landscape plan we just submitted. The intent of that berm and that extra spacing was to totally screen all of these units from Union Lake Road. And then there was also a concern regarding headlights hitting the units themselves. So that berm along Union Lake Road wraps around unit 12 and up Carpathian Drive. That 4 foot tall berm wraps around there, and it's heavily landscaped with evergreens. And also over by unit 1, you'll notice there's a large green space between unit 1 and the entry boulevard. That used to be a lot closer to the entry boulevard, and I don't remember if it was the Planning Commission or the Township Board, but they asked for more space there so we could wrap that berm and turn it north and east, and also landscape that as well with evergreens. So all of those units should be screened from view for the traffic going up and down Union Lake Road, but also for the future residents, so they don't have headlights shining into their units.
And Mr. Powell, we thought that it would be important to note that, these are ranch style, so the scale of these buildings will not be terribly imposing near the road. I mean, they're not very far back, but they're not 2 stories. So we think that, originally there was a 3 foot berm. The Planning Commission pushed for the extra foot, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but it will make a difference. And, there'll be mature plantings, or heavy plantings, I should say. And that'll be something, of course, that we deal with during final site plan. And the Planning Commission, I know, will make sure that it's well screened with plenty of evergreen material, so that, it doesn't look bad at all from the road. And obviously those who are living in these units won't want to have traffic zipping by, their patios or decks either. They'll want the privacy as well.
One more point, Mr. Supervisor.
Yes.
I believe that we are all going to be receiving a great many calls from the residents in White Lake Township. This development's going to add 300 to 500 cars per day onto Union Lake Road. And everyone that uses Union Lake Road backs up from downtown Union Lake. It would have been great if we could get a donation of some kind for the improvement of the intersection of Cooley Lake Road and Union Lake Road. That's going to be a major nightmare. And I just believe we're overloading this section of the roadway, and this project is more dense than what it should be. So thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you. I share some of your concerns, Mike, and I've been after the road commission and am constantly in communication with them as to stressing how important the Union Lake corridor issue is. Mr. Noble.
I sit on planning commission with this. I was one of the people that voted down as far as the community public give back. Mike, that's a great point. I'm under the PUD agreement. My suggestion is we have the park coming up with that everybody, the residents are going to use, taking Trustee Powell's comment into consideration. Maybe it could be suggest, Sean, that we could get a donation towards Stanley Park with the paving and some of the issues that we spoke about last week. And we could apply that towards that, because I think when we start mixing funds into county roads and stuff, it'd be, it's quite a cumbersome process, but I don't know. That would be you, Trustee Powell. That would be a great give back to the community.
And we can certainly
Yes.
ask them about doing something like that. Obviously, Jason, I can see him writing something down right now. This still has to go to final at the planning commission and then the development agreement, because this is a PD, comes back to the board. So if they were going to make a contribution to a park, it could be memorialized in that way.
That would be a good time to do so. Trustee Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I just wanted to confirm, I believe a year and a half ago when this came before our board, I requested a passing lane be included. Is that still in the plans?
No, the passing lane was not required by the Road Commission for Oakland County for that entrance, and it was not actually requested by the board. It's my understanding from what I recall, and I wasn't entirely prepared to answer this question, but from what I recall, the board deferred to the Road Commission for Oakland County.
Yeah, I think we talked about it for sure, because the traffic issue is substantial on Union Lake Road. And there is high density, I share in the concern of Trustee Powell of the density of this project. So I do believe we talked about it, and we did maybe not formally request, but sure hope that this development would put in a passing lane for Union Lake Road.
So I will add on that, yes, it was absolutely talked about, and we submitted a pre-application to the Road Commission for Oakland County. It went through their traffic safety department at the Road Commission. They did not require a passing lane. So I don't know what else to say about that. It wasn't a condition of the site plan approval previously. While it was discussed at the board level, it wasn't a stipulation or a condition on the approval previously. And that's all I can say about
So I understand. I mean, that's kind of like a bare minimum answer to me, when this definitely will affect our residents. And then I have a question for Trustee Powell. What were you suggesting or proposing that we could do about the density at this stage?
Well, they're coming back for an approval to extend the existing site plan approval. This is the time, quite frankly, that we could revisit that. I mean, it was not constructed as was originally approved. They're coming back for us to reconsider, and they're asking us to give something. And therefore, I think, quite frankly, we have every right to ask them for something as well. We've had a lot of discussion here tonight, and I'm not willing to support the motion that's being asked tonight. I will be voting no on it. I think there's too many unanswered items that need to be addressed. And I think maybe Mr. O'Neill can tell us the items we've been discussing tonight. This is our last shot at it. I don't think if we approve this tonight, I don't believe that we can modify or ask something more later.
I would say that is correct. You won't see the site plan again. You will see the development agreement. So if this is approved with, some sort of request of the planning commission to follow through on something or to, require something additionally, then, that would be, if you're going to move it along, that would be my thought. If you have something specific, and I don't know if Jason is prepared on behalf of his client to, to go far into that type of discussion?
I don't have the authority to offer up anything that's a financial. I can only speak to the engineering aspects.
So, Sean, we have the authority to send this back to planning right now, tonight.
Well, actually, this is just the extension request. So if you were to approve the extension request and send it back with specific direction, then it would be approved subject to that. And so it would almost be, it's almost like you're giving it its preliminary approval right now again. So if there is something specific that you want, then, you know, it would have to go that route. Now, you know, if in the course of discussing it, something else comes up, I guess we could send it back to the board again for concurrence. I mean, that wouldn't be, you know, the worst thing of it would be an extra step, but it hasn't, nothing's ever, I can't recall anything going quite like that before. But I think it's possible.
But it's
Mr. Noble,
possible because we
Mr.
don't seem pleased. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mr. Noble?
I think what we're doing here is we're just extending, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, the current development agreement. So they give them more time, correct?
That's correct.
So to go back would be, I think would not benefit us to go backwards. And I don't think it would be fair to the developer since we already approved this. But I think maybe we can make a motion towards a commit, like Mr. Trustee Powell said. Maybe they would like to make a community give back towards the park. That would be my only suggestion, maybe something to think about.
Mr. Roman?
Let me make sure I'm unmuted. Yeah, I agree with Mr. Noble, and I thought this was nothing more than a time extension. But Mr. Powell, I thought did you allude to the fact that, or the thought that something was changing, or did I misunderstand you?
Well, no, I don't think anything is changing. What is changing is it was not built the way it was originally approved, and they're coming back and asking us for something. I can't even imagine. And think about this, guys. A left-hand turn person trying to turn left into that development during rush hour when people are backed up down Union Lake Road going north or south, it's going to hold up traffic for, it'll feel like hours, but it'll be for minutes while somebody tries to turn left into this development just because the road commission, it doesn't meet their specs. We have the ability to change that. The road commission doesn't. As part of site plan approval, we can in fact demand that there be a left-hand turn there and other benefits.
Mike, did we demand that when we approved the first preliminary site plan? I don't remember.
We talked about it for sure.
Yeah, we definitely did.
Yeah, because I remember bringing it up. We did talk about it. We did ask for it.
Okay, Mr. O'Neill, do you what's your recollection?
Minutes of the meeting that are attached to the packet talk about the desire to have a left turn lane. And I think the applicant at the time, Mr. Fernari, who is not here tonight, who Mr. Emrine is representing, had mentioned that when a future development goes in, which there is a potential for another development adjacent to this one, actually across the street, that a passing lane would go in, you know, at that time, or possibly a center lane. There's no way to exactly predict when or if that will happen. I will say though, Mr. Powell, I don't know, even if we demand a passing lane, it doesn't mean the road commission will require it as part of their permit though. I mean, and that's kind of where I'm not sure. I mean, they have the jurisdiction, not the township. So I guess I would hate to hang something up in this meeting, you know, and put something on the developer that the road commission doesn't intend to permit. I just, you know, I don't.
I'll also add on that Fleiss and Vanderbrink did a traffic study of this exact intersection, and a left-hand turning lane or a passing lane was not warranted based on their traffic study.
As you know, I do this every day. The road commission has a definite set of requirements, and if in fact you don't meet that requirement, they can't force it. But as site plans, we can. Many communities require site plans to go above and beyond the minimum requirements of the road commission. And I'll tell you, if we don't support something to ease the traffic or help the traffic conditions there, this board is going to really hear of it when this project gets developed.
Mike, quick question. I'm not that familiar with that part of Union Lake Road, but there's got to be other traffic coming the same way that would be making left turns. Are there any other passing lanes
No,
on
there's
Union Lake Road now?
That particular area has
Yes.
none. The only one that there is would be, there's one to the north where Independence Village is, and which is a
There is
slight
one.
passing. There's one up
Yeah.
that way. And then you had to go all the way south down to Shocker's Four Corners project where a lane was put in to turn left into Waddy Drive.
So it's basically a 2-lane road all the way.
Right.
So I will add on to that this is geared towards an older population. This isn't people that leave during rush hour and go to work at 8 a.m. or come home at 5 o'clock. The trip distribution coming in and out of this site is different than your standard 9 to 5 work schedule. So that might help the situation. The other thing to consider as well is there's a significant grade drop off to the tune of 15 to 20 feet right off at the edge of Union Lake Road right here. So putting in a passing lane here might put the developer at the mercy of the existing landowner and easement acquisition. I know that might not be a concern of the board, but putting in a passing lane means we've got to go get an easement, and we might not get that easement. And it's just another thing to consider. And there'll also be a retaining wall and a guardrail there, a 6 to 10 foot tall retaining wall with a guardrail. So as cars are passing in this passing lane and bypassing the left-hand turning cars at 45 miles an hour, or I think the posted speed is 40, they will be passing right next to a 10-foot tall wall.
Well, as we discussed it last time, we approved the development, but then we were looking for the planning commission, the developer to step forward and do the right thing and put a passing lane in. If we pass it now, and they didn't, if we pass it again now, it's just going to continue and we are not going to get a passing lane there.
The only other thing I can add on is, it wasn't a condition of approval. I would have to go back and reread the meeting minutes, but we did submit engineering plans. We are getting ready to submit our road commission permit. We've submitted engineering plans to the township. We received review letters from the township. We have responded to those review letters and resubmitted to the township regarding all of this. And this is the first time this is being brought up.
Mike, one moment. Mike, I understand, and Liz, I understand both of your concerns, and I do recall some of the conversation, but I also know that Mr. Fernari, I think I said that right, is the owner of the property also on the other side of the road. And one of the advantages that we have as the township at this point is that I do recall him making a comment when it was brought up that there would need to be some sort of improvement. And I believe we did talk about the passing lane when that development on the other side of the road comes to fruition. So that being said, I would say that we have the ability to put that on the wish list for that particular project. And that project is in the chute, so to speak. So I think that would be a good time to do that.
One point of clarification, Mr. Kowal, is the property directly across the street from the approach is not owned by Michael Fernari. It is owned by some other entity. I don't know who. West Valley is kind of across the street, but more down towards Carpathian Drive, where this road approach is. Mike Fernari is not in control of that property. So a passing lane would require an easement from another individual and be another path that we'd have to go down in order to obtain approvals.
Mr. O'Neill?
I don't have a whole lot to add other than and Mr. Powell, I appreciate what you're saying. We don't generally go out and require things that the road commission doesn't require or traffic studies don't warrant. And that's just kind of where I don't have a lot of comfort because, I don't know. I mean, I think if we tried forcing the issue, they may go along with it, but they certainly don't have to because it's a weird, we have authority over what goes there, but they have authority over kind of how it goes, at least as it connects to the road. So I don't have I guess we haven't really done a whole lot of that. And, I do see your concern, but I will say that it's been my experience that when you're the last one in the door, you are kind of served all the problems of all the developments that came before you. And I'm not trying to, excuse the traffic problems and the road improvements that haven't been done for years. There's no way to kind of go back in time and make those improvements that would have made traffic move through this corridor better. But this one project and the project across the street isn't going to, in my estimation, be the straw that breaks the camel's back. It's already broken. I mean, this is a cup of coffee into a swimming pool. I mean, this is a mess, and I'm not saying that, we shouldn't seek to make it better, but I don't think that it's the responsibility of this or any one applicant to try to fix what's already a huge problem, because a passing lane won't fix the mess that is kind of, in our lap right now. And, the Cooley and Union intersection is the worst in the entire township. And I don't even know what a close second would be, maybe Williams and Union. And, the county's known about that since, most of us, before most of us were born. So on this Zoom meeting. So that's a tough nut for this developer to crack. And it just so happens that he's lucky to have two projects right across the street from each other, both on a very busy corridor in the township. So he's kind of getting, both barrels. So, while I'm not advocating for him, I'm not an advocate for the developer. I'm an advocate for the township and the residents. I do think it's fair to say that, though. And he's sort of in a tough situation, and, really nothing has changed since he was here a year ago or 13 months ago, getting site plan approval from you guys. His plan is the same. The ordinances haven't really changed, or if they do change, he'll have to conform with them. And at the time of final, it's really up to you guys. If you do want to ask him to come back to the planning commission with some sort of a contribution to the park, which has been mentioned tonight, I'd certainly be happy to work with him. I know they were having an issue with getting the easement from a neighbor offsite, to the north, which is bizarre. I mean, you call somebody and you tell them you want to give them a free sidewalk and they don't return your call or return your letters. But certainly that money could be directed, if the neighbor doesn't want a free sidewalk, that money could be directed to our park and potentially, additional funds beyond that. That would be certainly an easy one to ask for. That's kind of right out there. But I guess that's all I have at this point.
Okay, I'm gonna interject.
Rick,
Yes,
I just want
go
to
ahead.
say one more thing. Being on the planning commission, I voted no on this, and the reason why I voted no is I didn't see the community give back under the PUD agreement. Speed bumps to me were not a community give back. I read 2 to 3 letters of the president associations, which two of them appeared at the planning commission, right, Sean? And so that being said, I didn't see the community give back. I don't think it's fair to the developer that, like Sean said, that they're the last to come in and we put that on the backs of that developer. That's why I voted no on the planning commission, is I didn't see that. If they're willing to maybe do such as Trustee Powell suggested earlier, I'm in favor of that. I obviously can't put Jason in a financial position with no authority to do so. I think it's fair enough that we all can agree that the road commission, it would be great in a perfect world, as Sean and I have discussed for the last couple of years on planning, is put that turning lane in. With my police background, I do know that the road commission gets involved when there's major amounts on UD10 accidents. That's when stop signs are put in. That's when traffic lights are put in. So as we progress with the traffic flow and the accidents occur, I can see that being a top priority with Oakland County. That's just my thoughts.
Okay,
I
Trustee
just have
Smith.
thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I just have a procedure question. So what would happen if we table this evening, because Mr. Emmerine does not have the authority to speak on the give back or the turn lane? What would happen if we tabled it till next month, where he can consult with whom he represents to see if they're willing to give on either one?
Well, they just delay the process.
Yeah,
That's okay. That we're not up against any certain deadline.
they're wanting to go back to the planning commission for final site plan approval. They're not ready at this time. I think they've got their first submittal of final, so there would likely be time for them to come back. It might be a situation where they're before you on the 16th and potentially at the planning commission on the 18th if it lines up that way, but that is an option. I mean, if you're willing to ask them to make a contribution and see what they say rather than to deny this, I'm sure that Mr. Emmerine would support that over just a denial tonight.
I would prefer a table or something of that nature to
I think
allow
that's
me
a little bit more fair because we did, approve to get this far. So perhaps we can table it till next month where he can work on it a little bit to see what, is workable on their end and come back.
Counselor, you have a comment to make?
Sean, while everyone was talking, it's unusual for me to see that this kind of discussion on a preliminary site plan. So I pulled up the zoning ordinance, and it seems to indicate that if granted, the original preliminary site plan is granted by the township board, the approval shall be valid for 1 year from the date of the board's action. And then it says the board may grant a 1-year extension based upon confirmation from the director or his or her designees that there have been no ordinance changes affecting the preliminary site plan since the time of original approval. I guess my question is, it seems to indicate that as long as there's no ordinance changes, the township board can approve it. Is there authority to add additional conditions at this point? Question one. And question two, could the applicant simply just submit a new preliminary site plan application and start the process over again? And would he then be in compliance with all ordinance provisions?
So I don't know, the first question you had, I don't know that it's quite clear that they can add additional conditions at this point. I would say that if in order to get the extension, I think they could. I think practically speaking, they could probably add some sort of a condition because really they have the authority to say we're not taking any action at all, and it could just expire, in which case he would have no choice but to start over. However, starting over is not a good option. I mean, let me just say that through the downturn, we've kept a lot of projects on life support. And I don't mean this downturn here in this year. I mean, when things got really ugly, 8-10 years ago, a lot of projects kept coming back and getting extensions because when the economy finally got better, we wanted them to begin construction, not have to start from scratch. Because if this was to expire, they would have to start all over again. They would have to go through all the public hearings. They would have to go through, everything as if nothing had already happened. I mean, they really can't pick up where they left off. They have to just start as if they had never seen this project before. And obviously they have, and obviously a lot of the work and engineering is done, but I think it would be frankly a waste of time to start over if we're at a point where we could approve an extension and move this ahead. So I guess it just really comes down to what the board is going to want to see in order to grant the additional year and what the applicant is willing to offer. I mean, I would hate to see the whole thing fall apart over something, if they're very close, over something small.
Does anyone know what the cost would be to add this passing lane roughly?
A lot.
A lot.
What are we talking?
Talking
Roughly?
probably $70,000, 50 to 70,000.
The retaining wall alone is going to cost more than the passing lane itself.
Yeah. That's the problem
Retaining
there.
wall is going to be a fortune. It's going to be 8 foot tall, 350 feet long. Easements required.
I believe it's premature and he's not representing it properly because quite frankly, you can put a passing lane in just the shoulder, but you'd have to curb the roadway. So he's talking about adding it in with a ditch line and everything else to the west. And so that was inappropriate representation.
With all due respect, Mr. Powell, I designed that retaining wall and that passing lane previously just to see how big of an easement we would need as part of the last development with the last applicant. And they actually went and tried to get an easement and were unsuccessful in obtaining an easement from that property owner over there. So I know exactly what that retaining wall would look like, and there is no ditch lines. You can't put in a ditch line because the grade drops off 30 feet from the edge of the road there.
Yes. Okay.
So
all right.
One more comment, Rick, to the board.
Mr. Roman.
I don't really think it's fair to grant a preliminary site plan approval and then to come back and make this kind of change. I just don't feel that that's fair. That's all I had to say.
And now I'm going to comment. I've listened to everyone's comments, listened to everyone's concerns, and I appreciate that, and that's what we're here for. But one of the things that I am not in favor of is moving the finish line. When you make an agreement and you tell somebody the way it is, that's the way it is, and we've approved it. Now, we do have the ability, even though the property on the other side of the road It does not necessarily belong to Mr. Fernari at this time. We don't know. I think there's a 10-acre parcel there that's commercial, or am I mistaken?
It's
If
a
that's
local, zone local business, I believe.
There's something there. There's another parcel of land there. We don't know where that's going to go. We don't know who's going to do something with that. That particular person comes in, that may be a requirement on them. We still have that option. It's not like we can't solve it at some point. We just have to have a heightened awareness of the problem. I am not in favor of holding this up, and I would like to move this forward. So any other comment from the board? One last comment, Ms. Smith.
Well, I would be in favor of making a motion to table just for a month to see, so Mr. Emmerine, you know, obviously he doesn't have the authority to answer our questions this evening. So I think it's fair to table for a month, let him get back with us and see if he can come up with anything that is appeasing to both sides. It's, you know, it's a workable outcome here.
I'll support that motion, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you, Mr. Powell.
Well, we have a motion to table, and we have a support by Mr. Powell to table. Mr. Noble, will you do a roll call vote?
Treasurer Roman,
No.
Clerk Noble, no. Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Trustee Voorhees,
You're muted, Andrea.
Andrew, you're muted.
So I can't hear you, Andrea.
No.
Supervisor Kowal,
No.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
Motion fails. Okay. What I would like to do is I'd like to move this along, but I would like it to go back to the Planning Commission for another cursory look to see if, now that Mr. Emmerlein knows what some of these issues are, that they could be looked at closer. And in particular, if they could do the community benefit, take a look at that. So these are the things I would like you to look at. So,
Mr. Cole, I just have a question. So what, just procedurally, what is the difference then if we're sending it back to planning? Wouldn't that just take a month?
no, you were tabling it. I was not tabling it. I was moving it forward, so it goes back with approval.
But I'm tabling it for a month.
It was declined. It was voted down.
I
So
understand. I just want to know procedurally what would be that difference. Lisa, can you help me out?
The difference is it's going to have to go back to the Planning Commission anyways, right, Sean, for a final looky-loo?
It will. It'll just kind of take out the return trip to you guys, and it will also give them the green light to move ahead without wondering if, you know, it'll.
In which I am fine with that because the Planning Commission does a good job and they will take a look at that and see what they can come up with, whatever remedies that there may be.
So just so I understand, it will go back to planning, but it will not come back to us again.
Correct.
It will come back to you to approve the development agreement.
At
So
the development agreement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Rick, can I?
Yes, Counselor.
So what I'm hearing from you, Supervisor Kowal, is that you were hoping to entertain a motion to extend the site plan, the preliminary site plan approval with the notation requesting the Planning Commission pay a particular attention to those issues that were discussed when they consider final site plan approval.
Correct. Well, you said that better than I did.
And the issues would be the turning or passing lane and public benefit, correct? We're all on the same page
Correct.
there? Okay.
Correct. The ones that we discussed tonight. Okay, so if they'll have the minutes to take a back and look at. That's my motion. Looking for support.
Support.
I have support from Mr. Noble. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Powell.
Mike,
Trustee-
you're muted.
You're muted, Mike.
There's a reason he's muted. So
I know.
I don't, okay, no.
Trustee Smith,
No with comment. I'm just disappointed that they did.
Liz, it's a yes or no. We're voting.
Right, I can vote no with a comment. I can always vote with a comment. So no with comment that I'm disappointed that they didn't respect our request to have a turn lane a year and a half ago.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal,
yes.
Clerk Noble, yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Please take serious
I will relay everything that you guys
consideration
said
to
tonight
this.
to the applicant. And,
because the applicant has other things that they'd like to do in this community, and we would really like them to work with us.
Yep, he's looking at other projects in your community.
Yeah, and this
I know
would be
for
a
fact, so.
real good way for him to come forward with his integrity. Thank
And
you.
he likes doing business in your community, because I know, because he's looking at other things right now. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Item 12C, second reading of fee ordinance, water and sewer system. Well, as we have talked about, we had a lot of conversation relating to this particular item and the minimal amount of increase. And we heard from the experts and all the other people, and we passed it on to a second reading. And Mr. Potter, I'm going to kind of turn it over to you briefly. So
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Yes, so on the 26th of January, we presented a rate study. We had Representative Tom Traciak from Baker Tilly, who's our financial advisor. We talked about how the methodology was developed, where we are generally as a township for the water system. There were a couple of errors on the original rate study that or the fee ordinance amendment that I presented. Those have now been fixed on this version that you have before you tonight. Again, the study and the findings and what's reflected in the fee ordinance generally reflects water system operation and capital improvement out to 2026. That's been discussed in many public hearings. It's reflected in our CIP, reflected in my township budgets. And that does include the addition of iron filtration and the DWRF project plan with Huron Valley Schools for Aspen Meadows Well House and the Bogey Lake water main extension. Now, just before I turn it over and respectfully ask that you approve this fee ordinance, we did have some discussion last month about the math. So I went back, and I'm going to share my screen here. And that is not what I expected to see here. Hang on a second. Okay, can we all see this? So I went back and took a look at a rate comparison that we had done early on in this project plan, kind of finalized it around May of 2019. And so just in fairness, I haven't gone through and redone all of these rate comparisons from all these other townships. Generally, I can guarantee you that none of these have gone down. Likely some of them have gone up. But I did plug in our proposed rate increase right here. Now, on this, most of these in dark blue are Great Lakes Water Authority or Detroit Water System customers. With the exception of Independence Township, these are both well systems, but they have two well systems. The rest of these are all groundwater systems. So I just wanted to just generally across the board kind of get a visual impact of why we go through all this trouble to have our own water source rather than just connecting to GLEWA or Detroit Water System. And at the end of the day, we do have a lot of extra work to do, and we have to take on a lot of responsibility, and this board has to make a lot of unpleasant decisions to have and maintain this water source. It's very expensive. But when you look at what these other customers pay, the least expensive one that I saw was Royal Oak at $128.79. This was a standardized unit over a standardized 3-month billing cycle. We used all these other township rates, and this study was completed for us by DLZ as part of the DWRF project plan. So you can see right here our current rate, 80/20 which would be the cost of 3,100 cubic feet over a standardized 3-month billing period. That under this proposed rate would go up to 92.92. Now, when we're talking about percentages on these, you can get kind of lost in the weeds. When you see how these rates compare to our neighbors' rates, we're right in line with the other groundwater systems around us, and we're generally around half of the other Detroit water systems around us. Really what we're talking about here is an increase of about the cost of a large cup of Tim Hortons per month for most of our customers. So with that, I would turn it over to all of you guys. And I ask again respectfully that you approve the fee ordinance as amended so that we can get going with these projects and give the customers the kind of water quality that they are asking for.
Aaron, if you can get our screen back.
My bad. There you go.
Thank you very much. Any other further comments from the board? I know we kind of had a lot of conversation about this the last time around, and we had some thoughts on that. Trustee Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So if I recall correctly, this passed last time to second reading. I don't think anybody is really opposed to this moving forward. It's just more of when. So if we can have a discussion perhaps of when, July or October 1st, I think would be options that would be better for our residents. We'll get through the summer and perhaps residents and restaurants and commercial businesses in our community have a chance to get on their feet a little bit after COVID. I know, Aaron, I want you to know that this board supports moving water projects forward, and I think we've demonstrated that to you over the years. And I supported it, even though I voted no last time. I do support these water projects moving forward. It's just a matter of when is best for our residents and businesses in White Lake. So the flip side of that is we do have residents that certainly need these projects to move forward with the rust and problems, so that their issues are equally of value. So I don't want our residents to think that we're not considering that. So I would appreciate if my board members would join me in a conversation of when do we think is best, July or October.
Mr. Potter, I'm going to let you chime in on that.
Yeah, I actually prefer October, and I'll tell you why. July 1st is the beginning of our third quarter billing, which is 3 solid months of all summer use. Our third quarter is generally everybody's most expensive bill of the year. I'd really hate to start a new rate structure right at the beginning of this most expensive period of the year, when folks don't have time to kind of get used to this and see how this is going to affect them and have the opportunity to maybe, curtail their, some folks may have some wasteful habits. If we start this on October 1st, as Tom Traciak, our financial advisor, said, our system is in good shape. Our DWF project plan is scheduled for funding in fall of 2021. So, our bond payments generally are going to be due sometime around fall of 2022. I think that gives us a full year. I think our system is in good shape now. And then I think that, like I said, really would give customers the fourth quarter, first quarter, and second quarter of next year on the new rate structure. That's 3 full quarters to get used to how these rates, in fact, impact their family budget. And I think that, by the 2022 third quarter, by then, I think folks will have a real good understanding of, of the cost of this.
Thank you,
Mr. Noble. Mr. Noble.
I'm going to agree with Liz on this. I think the October makes sense for our residents. Like she was saying, she's absolutely right on that. I did a little researching and Mike, I was wrong. It's not 65 million in fixed assets. It's 68 million in fixed assets. You got to remember, we have the towers, the pumps, the valves, the hydrants, public safety, with the hydrants protection. So I'd like to, Aaron's put a lot of work into this. I agree with what Liz said on that. October would be the right timing. I think economically gives the residents a break. We were at with that, I'm going to say it wrong, SCADA, correct me if I'm right, Aaron, but I was reading an article in Florida where a community was breached without the right safety measures as far as their computer software, and that's made national news. And Aaron, can you hear me, Rick?
Yeah, I think I sent that article to Aaron.
Yeah, made national news, and I just want to applaud Aaron taking the steps to make sure that our infrastructure is safe. So that being said, I'd like to move forward with Liz's suggestion. It was a great suggestion.
Mr. Roman.
So just so I understand, so the new rates would go into effect October 1st. So October, November, December. So the first bill that people would see that increase, Aaron, would be January 1st of 2022.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with Liz and Anthony as well.
I also agree with the comments. Aaron, have you had any comments from the residents that are they aware that the rates are going to be going up?
We have had quite a few comments from residents, and incidentally, we had some, as we talked about in other part of the meeting tonight, we had some structure fires over the weekend that the fire department had to address, and it kind of felt like it was a little timely because today we are now, some of our customers are experiencing rusty water again because of that high flow that from the hydrant use stirred up sediment. It's migrated out into its favorite hangouts in Twin Lakes Village and Cranberry Meadows Estates, which are the farthest out, peripheral neighborhoods on that system. So I've been in contact with several residents just today discussing this.
Thank you.
Okay, so that being said, you want this to take effect October 1st? Is that what you're thinking, Aaron?
I think that would be my preferred, if the choice is July 1st or October 1st, I think October 1st would be the more fair to our customers.
Mr. Noble, I saw your hand wave there for a second. Did I?
I thought, Liz, did you want to make the motion, Liz, or for October? Could you hear me?
You're muted. Liz.
I was muted. Sorry about that.
Would you like to make the motion for, I thought I saw your hand, Liz, to make the motion for that?
Didn't, but I can make the motion.
Thank you.
So I'd like to make a motion to move forward second reading of the fee ordinance number 129 to begin October 1st, 2021.
It would actually
be effective January adoption.
Yes.
January 1st, 2022.
I'll second that.
Have a motion.
Oh, hold on, Rick. I'm not sure I heard the motion. Can you repeat that motion, Liz?
Sure, it was a little scrambled. I'd like to make a motion to move forward the fee ordinance number 129 to take up for adoption January 1st, 2022.
No, you need to make it effective October 1st.
October 1st.
I tried that. October 1st, 2021 to take effect January 1st, 2022.
No.
No?
It'll just take.
Take out the January part. All right.
You had it right the first time, Liz. It'll just take effect.
All right. Pardon me. Excuse me.
October 1st.
All right. Try for the third time's a charm, right?
Time's a charm.
Move forward the fee ordinance number 129 for October 1st, 2021.
Adoption.
Motion. I'll second it.
You'll second that. And roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Kowal.
Yes.
Treasurer Roman.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees.
Yes.
Treasurer Roman.
I'm a yes again.
Okay, sorry. We're missing
need Mr.
trustee
Powell.
Powell. I see his arm or something on there.
Yes,
Chasing Mickey Mouse.
yes.
You
said
broke up,
yes.
Mike. Can you say
Yes is my
yes?
vote.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thumbs up, Mike.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
You can tell he's in the car because there you go, because he's like stop motion and move
Like
motion.
planes, trains, and automobiles over there.
Yeah, yeah, there we go. Okay, thank you. Okay, motion carries. Trustee comments. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for all their work in this, and I know that making these decisions is not always the most comfortable thing, but in particular, it's not like we're just raising it, these fees a little, very modestly. Our residents are actually going to get something for it. So it'll be a big improvement. And what about timing? Yeah, those two fires. Once it stirs up those lines, it takes a long time for that stuff to work its way out. So yeah, you'll be hearing about that for a couple of weeks there, Aaron. And hopefully these additions in the future will minimize, if not eliminate, those problems. I'd like to thank Sean and his department for continuing to work with the outreach to the restaurants. We're able to get a lot of things in place, and we've actually, I think, had a second round where we had some more things that might be coming our way. So we're trying to do everything we can to help our local restaurateurs. Even though they're at 25%, they're not quite there yet. So when you get a chance, get out there, do what you can, support the carryouts, and keep things going. Mr. Noble, your comment, trustee comment, please.
I would just like to thank the staff again, being here every day, working side by side with everybody. It's been a pleasure. And I'd like to thank the fire and police department, Chief Keller and Chief Marinucci and Deputy Chief Holland and all the employees.
Thank you. Trustee Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'll just begin with a quick library update. They are in phase 3. They're calling it grab and go computers. Phase 3 includes quick browsing and hold pickup. So they ask that you just browse for 20 to 30 minutes and be on your way, please. In-person and phone reference assistance, computer availability by appointment. You can call ahead of time to make an appointment if you are in need of a computer. 24-hour Wi-Fi access is still available and will be forever in the parking lot if you're in need of internet access. Curbside service continues, virtual and take-home programs are happening, and drive-up book return is still open. So they've moved into phase 3 since our last meeting. I want to congratulate all the firefighters that won awards. I'm so very sorry that we weren't there in person to be able to congratulate you, but and I want to thank Deputy Chief and Fire Marshal Holland for putting together such a nice presentation to share with us in our community. So I do want to give them a round of applause. They deserve all the credit in the world. I'm so sorry again that we aren't there to congratulate you. I want to mention that the police department is working towards a goal for the polar plunge. I believe it's coming up this weekend. They have a donation site on their Facebook page if you're interested in supporting their team for the polar plunge. It'll be a little different this year, is my understanding. It'll be a virtual polar plunge, so no crowds can gather for COVID, but I'm sure they'll post pictures afterwards, and we still have a White Lake team participating. So if you'd like to support that, it goes to Special Olympics. And then I just wanted to bring up something that I think we missed for a couple of months. It's been on my mind, is we had mentioned that we were going to have a picture contest for our new website. And we were supposed to announce the winners in January, and I'm not sure what happened to that. So
we're still working on it. We're still working on it. We've had a series of delays with the website and COVID and technological things, so it's still in the works.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about our new website, as I'm sure everybody else is. So I just kind of wanted to touch base with that, and didn't want any residents to be discouraged that the website is still coming, and maybe we can come up with a new date for the photo contest, because I'm looking forward to seeing what our residents come up with. Please stay safe. Prayers for Texas, of course. It's very cold out. We do not have a warming center in White Lake. Sometimes we've talked about opening up the township or library, but due to COVID, we have some restraints on that. So please stay warm and check on your neighbors and bring your pets inside. Please stay safe. Thank you. And God bless. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you. Mr. Powell, if you are there, we'd like to hear from you. If not, we'll assume you're in travel.
Yes, no comment. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Mr.
Everyone note that. That's a
Yeah.
record.
Yeah, I know that is a record. Yeah. Mr. Roman.
I just want to say, first of all, Mr. Powell, I hope you're enjoying that weather. If you're not aware, we got, I don't know, 12 inches, close to 12 inches today of snow.
Yes, I am aware of it, and I've been praising God ever since.
Want to talk a little bit about taxes, property taxes. Today was the last day to pay winter taxes without penalty. And I am so proud of our residents. I want to thank all of you that came in to pay your winter taxes today. You braved the weather and came to our counter. We had over 160 residents come in today and brave the weather. So thanks to all of you. Also want to thank all of you tuning into the board meeting today. And then just to explain, I know we get a lot of questions about when taxes can still be paid to White Lake Township. March 1st is the statutory date. We have to have the money in our hands by March 1st. Otherwise, your taxes get turned over to Oakland County. And when I say March 1st, the money has to be in our hands. We do not go by postmark date for that deadline. So again, March 1st, last day to pay winter taxes. That's all I had, Rick. Thanks.
Very good. Andrea Voorhees.
Thank you. I just want to thank the board again because our meeting we had last week ago was very, very fun to initialize or finalize Stanley Park, so we can continue forward with that. It was good that you had questions, and a lot of tweaking didn't need to be done. Now we can just continue on to the next phase and hopefully get some grants from it. As always, be safe, be warm, and be healthy.
Thank you, Andrea. Well, thanks, everyone. I would like to put a personal shout out for the man of the hour today, or the man of the day, Mr. John Wheaton. Mr. John Wheaton busted his behind to make sure that we had the drifts in the parking lot and all the areas were cleaned. He was being real careful, and today he was working at the cemetery and something caught his tire on his truck, and he was so upset because he had a sidewall blowout. So we had to get the truck towed and fixed. But hey, if that's the least of our worries with the snowy weather, I'll take the tire any day. So John, hats off to you. You got us all into where we need to be today. Certainly appreciate it. You know, it was a tough call this morning to call a snow day. It could have been real easy to do, except there's one guy in the township who would have been really upset with me, and that would have been Mr. Roman. Yeah. And so I'll put it all on him. All the employees had to show up today because of Mike.
One got stuck, Rick.
What's that?
One of our employees got stuck.
Janine got stuck, I think. Yeah.
And so did Cole.
Yeah, and so did Cole. Yeah. So we had a few of them get stuck. But anyways, it was amazing to see the number of people that did come in today, though, Mike.
It was shocking. I couldn't believe it.
Compared to what in December, it was a total switch. So just amazing. But I certainly appreciate everything that everybody's done and the hard work for all the board members. And want to say again, thanks to John, and congratulations to all the firefighters for all things they do for our community. And stay safe, everybody. And with
Rick,
that, yes, sir.
A thanks to all the staff that made it in today.
Everybody, yeah, the whole staff, everybody that made it in today and braved the mess out there. So that's hopefully coming. Hey, on a warmer note, we did get an application for an event for August called Brave the Wave, which is a jet ski race, and they do all kinds of trick riding and all kind of really cool stuff. Hopefully that's coming. And I've had multiple conversations with the representatives from Quake on the Lake. They have not made a commitment yet for this year, but we're trying to get them in. It's a nice outdoor event, and it would be a great thing to have to bring some life back to Pontiac Lake the way that it used to be in the old days with with a lot of boat races. So then I say goodnight. Thank you very much. God bless. And yes, sir.
Oh, do we still need a motion to adjourn?
I'm getting ready to say I'm making a motion to adjourn, looking for support.
Support.
I have support from trustee Smith. Roll call vote, Mr. Noble.
Supervisor Kowal,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes, with the comment. Yes, with the comment. Lisa, you didn't have to correct us once today. So
You
there.
guys did awesome today.
I'm a
Good
yes.
job, everybody.
Okay.
Clerk
was
Noble,
Frozen.
Clerk Noble, yes.
Can't believe there's not 4G down here better.
I get
There's no 4G here. It is dead.
trustee Smith,
Yes.
trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Got to be careful what you say there, Mr. Powell.
trustee Powell.
I forgot.
Okay, yeah.
We need a yes.
Just say yes, Mike. We lost him. All right. Well, motion carries anyway. Meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Good
All
night,
right.
everyone.
Stay warm. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.